On the opening scene, we are back in 1922, and two men in a forest are running away from a beast. And the beast has gotten three of their members, and two of the men try to run away, but the beast catches them. And we don't see what happens next, I assume he kills them, but we see a staff that they had with them being picked up by somebody else. So it's now present time and it's 2020, and Zoe have just moved from the US to Australia a few months ago. And after her mother's passing, she's FaceTiming her friend back in Chicago, and she ends up burning the food she was making for her dad. You see, Zoe's a little inept, and she still hasn't settled in Australia yet. And also, she hasn't moved on from her mom's death yet. And she also hasn't made any new friends in her new school. And tomorrow, though, is a school trip, and they're going to this national museum where maybe she'll have a chance to socialize and meet people. And the next morning, Zoe arrives at the school bus and she sits next to Owen, the school nerd. And behind them is the class jock Javier and his girlfriend Caitlin. And there's also Kaylee, who was a little late to the bus, but she makes it in time and she gets inside. And Kaylee's a little bit quirky. She doesn't do the whole group thing. And once they reach the National Museum, the class is greeted by Dr. Rawson, and she gives the students the tour and she tells them about the mythical story of the Tree of Life, which in ancient cultures was believed to be the giver of life. Zoe breaks from the group and she goes to this restricted area, and she finds Kaylee already chilling there, and Owen comes up behind Zoe, and Javier and Caitlin were also planning to do a little thing in that area because there was nobody around. I mean, this is high school, come on. And while they were bickering with one another, they find this wooden staff on the ground, and it had all these symbols on it. And when Zoe picks up the staff, light starts emanating from it, and the 5 symbols start emanating out of the 5 students' faces. And Dr. Rawson comes into the room and she sees the students with the staff, and she asks them why they took it out of the box, and Zoe explains that they just found it on the floor, they didn't take it out of any box. And Dr. Rawson takes the group to her office and she tells them that the staff emanated light when Zoe touched it. And Dr. Rawson explains that this staff was found in an archaeological dig in 1922, and the scientists who found it disappeared under mysterious circumstances. You remember the opening scene? This? Yeah. And Rawson then tells the group that there was another thing found, and it was this obsidian cube. And this cube also has the same carvings as the staff. And she gives them the obsidian cube, and she tells them to touch it and see what happens. And the group, one by one, put their hands on the cube except for Zoe. And she's hesitating, but then she hears her mother's voice coming from the cube. And that's something that should put you off, right? But Zoe is a teenager, so she touches the cube. And when she puts her hand on it, they all get teleported out of the museum. And the group wake up and they're stranded on a desert. And Dr. Rawson has also been teleported with them somehow, and everyone starts freaking out. And they all keep asking where they are, and Dr. Rawson calms them down, and she tells them that they should go to the forest in front of them and look for help there. And when the group reaches the forest, they see an old man covered in plants. And the old man asks the group if the sorcerer has finally come, and the group doesn't really know what the man is talking about. And the man calls Zoe an earth child, and then he tells her that they all smell like outsiders, and that the beast doesn't like people it doesn't recognize. And just then, they hear the beast roaring, and the old man tells the group that the beast is the guardian of the forest. He then tells Zoe that they should show the beast who they really are. And the beast gets closer to them, and the group start running through the forest. And Dr. Rawson is hit by the beast first, and she falls down. And the beast then runs after the students, and Owen tips over and falls too. And Caitlin runs into a tree, and Zoe pushes her out of the way, and she gets stuck in the tree. But before the beast could reach her, she gets sucked in by the tree and she disappears. And the rest of the group have now escaped, and after a little while, Dr. Rawson wakes up, and a group of elves were playing with her apparently. And then she shouts at them, and she orders the elves to find the students. And it's revealed here that Dr. Rawson is a sorcerer, and she brought the students here to find her the staff's head. And she believes that it's locked in a place that she cannot access. And Zoe wakes up in a field of flowers, and then she sees the old man again. And he tells her that she is the user of the earth element, and that she was born under the earth sign. And an earth symbol emanates from Zoe's hand, and Zoe's still confused as to what's going on here. And he further explains that she is the earth elementalist, and so is he. And he explains that she can manipulate nature and heal other people. And the old man then tells Zoe a story that happened a long time ago. He tells her the sorcerer was a protector of the Tree of Knowledge. But a long time ago, a plague fell upon her tribe, and the sorcerer used her powers to save her people, but she also got corrupt by the power that she got. She got mad with power, and the old man and the 4 other elementalists locked the sorcerer out of the Tree of Knowledge. And she has been sent trying to break the barrier to get back to the Tree of Knowledge and take whatever she wants. And the old man tells Zoe to find the staff's head and to send it back to its original place so that the sorcerer can't get to it. And Zoe leaves, feeling very confused, and then she runs into Dr. Rawson. And Zoe tells her what she just heard from the man, and Rawson tells Zoe that she is the sorcerer and that the old man has lied to Zoe about everything. Rawson asks Zoe for help in finding the staff, and Zoe doesn't know who to believe at this point. And Rawson also tells Zoe where to find the others, and Zoe runs to find them. And the rest of the group have found out what their elements are. Apparently, Owen is water, Javier is air, Caitlin is fire, and Kaylee is ether. And Zoe finally reaches the rest of the group, and they were trying to open this gate. And Zoe explains that the gate can only be opened by all elementalists, and she shows them how to use their power. And the beast is apparently still hunting them, and it's gotten really close by this point. But before the beast can reach them, all of them manage to use their elements and open the gate and escape from the beast. And they are then teleported to another part of the forest, and Zoe tells the group to cover themselves with mud so that the beast can't track them. And they get into this mud fight, and all of them are now covered in mud. And Zoe sees a fairy crying with a broken wing, and Zoe then uses her earth powers to heal the fairy's broken wing. And everyone sees this and they're pretty impressed by what she did. And Zoe tells the group that they need to find the staff's head so that they can save the world and leave this realm. And everyone agrees, and they start walking, searching for the Tree of Knowledge and the staff's head. And passing through a road, the group are stopped with a humanoid creature who calls himself the Keeper of the Crossroad, and he tells the group that they cannot move any further until he approves of it. And Owen ignores him and gets close to the road, and the Gatekeeper then freezes Owen and he teleports him to an unknown place. And Javier runs after Owen and he meets the same fate. And Zoe begs the Gatekeeper to give her back her friends, and he then asks the girls to give him something and show him their intention. And Caitlin and Kaylee give him some money, and he was not happy with the cash, and he teleported them to a different location too. And Zoe is now the only one left, and she gives him her mother's bracelet. And he is touched by this, and he gives her back the bracelet, and he teleports her to the next place. Apparently, there are many places that you have to go to in order to find the staff's head and the Tree of Life. And Zoe is teleported in this snowy forest, and she starts crying, but then she hears Dr. Rawson's voice in the back of her mind. And Dr. Rawson keeps asking her to get her the staff's head. And Zoe then sees Javier, and he tells her that he found something. And he takes her to the edge of the snowy forest, and they see a woman with a rat face. And they see the woman creating green grass and trees from just the ground. And the woman then takes them to her place where they find Kaylee and Caitlin. And Kaylee and Caitlin were also brought here by another man who has a rat's face, and they ask him if they could find their other friend. And he tells them that the woman can do that, since she is a weaver that can create anything she wants. And she creates for them this portal, and the group can see Owen, and he's getting chased by the beast. And Zoe pulls Owen out of the portal, and Kaylee manages to break the portal just in time. And the group set up camp for the night, and Zoe hasn't told the group that the sorcerer is actually Dr. Rawson. And the group hear footsteps, and they see that the elves are coming for them. And when they realize this, they run away from their camp. But suddenly, Zoe starts getting sucked by the ground, and Dr. Rawson, in the back of her mind, tells her to accept it because this is the next stage into finding the staff's head. And the rest of the group follow her, and now they've entered this dark realm. And they're all greeted by the mirror of themselves, and the mirrors are the guilt and insecurities and fear that each and every one of them has. And Zoe accepts her reflection, and she goes through a portal, meaning she identifies with her fear and insecurities, which is a bad thing. And next is Caitlin, and her mirror tells her about all her insecurities, and tries to pull her through the portal, but Caitlin just gets mad and she uses her fire powers to destroy her mirror, and then she does the same for everyone and she saves everybody. And now, since they've all passed the dark place, they all know where the staff's head is hidden. And they find this box where the staff's head was supposed to be, but when they open it, it's empty. And Zoe is incredibly agitated by this, and Caitlin then sees a shadow following Zoe, and it was apparently Rawson, and she reveals herself and appears in front of them. And Zoe tells them Rawson is the sorcerer, and the group is really mad because Zoe didn't tell them before. And Zoe didn't know who to believe at that point, and she thought she would know what to do when she found the staff's head. And Rawson then reveals that she'd been bringing 5 group of elementalists for years, and she has been using these elementalists to slowly open the gates, keeping her from the tree of knowledge. And then she reveals to them, and I don't know why she tells them this, that she's actually controlled their life since they were children. And even Zoe's mom's cancer was actually brought on by Rawson. Rawson basically killed Zoe's mom because she wanted to bring these people together. And Rawson tells them she only did this because she wanted to save her people and that she's the only one left of her tribe. And she plans to use the power of the tree to reconstruct the dead people of her tribe. And Rawson then threatens the group, telling them to help her, and if they don't, she's gonna do a lot of horrible things to them. But Kaylee opens a portal and the beast comes through it. And Rawson pushes the beast with her power, and the group then jump inside the portal using that distraction, and the beast is also pushed back through the portal. And Zoe remembers that the beast is an earth child, and she uses her powers to calm it down. And the beast calms down and stops in front of Zoe, and then Zoe sees the staff's head was actually lodged in the beast's abdomen. And she takes out the staff's head from the beast, and both Zoe and the beast fall unconscious on the ground. And Rawson then appears in front of the group, and she asks them to give her the staff's head, and she threatens to kill them if they don't. And Owen and Javier try to stop her, but she's too powerful for them, and she shocks them and they fall to the ground. And at this point, Zoe wakes up and she begs Rawson to stop, and then she offers the staff's head in exchange for her friend's safety. And Rawson then takes the staff's head and she puts it back together with the staff, and then she breaks the barrier and she takes Zoe with her forcibly, and they both go to where the tree of knowledge is. And there they find the old man, and he's protecting it. And the old man tells Rawson, who is revealed to be his sister, that he won't let her use the power of the tree. And Rawson then uses the staff and she easily kills her own brother. And Zoe goes down to save him, but she couldn't heal him. And in his dying breath, he tells her to let go of old things and that life and death are connected. And then he reminds Zoe that one tree is all trees. And Zoe then uses her earth powers and she starts destroying the tree of life. And she tells Rawson that she should let go of the past, and Rawson says that she will have the power of the tree, and she runs into the tree. But before she can use the power, the tree explodes, killing Rawson in the process. The group then run to Zoe and ask her if the world is going to die since the Tree of Knowledge is now destroyed. And by the way, Tree of Knowledge and Tree of Life is basically the same thing. They just refer to it as the Tree of Knowledge that also gives life. It's a little bit confusing, but it's the same thing. Anyways, Zoe tells them that one tree is all trees, and then she puts her hand on the ground and the others follow, and they use their powers and a new tree starts growing from the ground. And Owen then uses the obsidian cube to teleport the group back to Earth. And in the last scene, we see Zoe and Kaylee talking in school, and they still have their powers in this world too. And they agree to meet up later and practice and study their powers, and that is how the movie ends. I hope you guys enjoyed our recap. Make sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys on my next recap. Bye.